Well, I mean, I definitely want to stick around, and I mean, I have time now, so I will see all the options that I have, and then hopefully take the right one that will bring me into a bright future.
The final vacant spot for the 2023 season has been filled, as Haas announced Nico Hülkenberg as a replacement for Mick Schumacher. While many find it hard to accept this decision due to the fact that Hülkenberg hasn't been really impressive in his F1 career and has been out of the sport for 3 years, time will tell whether Haas did the right thing or not. What's certain is that Mick won't race in 2023, but that doesn't mean that he'll miss out on the sport in general. A very sweet spot has opened up for him in Mercedes, and this is something that he'll likely take advantage of. Mick's 2022 season hasn't been one to remember, apart from his career points on 2 occasions in Silverstone and Austria. Other than that, he crashed the car twice in Monaco and in Jeddah, and although he managed to find the groove better as the season passed, he was still not able to impress his team enough to keep him for next season. Many F1 experts think that this is a huge mistake made by Haas, as Mick does deserve to drive in Formula 1. Unlike his father, Mick does need more time to adapt to the car he's given, which is a thing that almost every driver has on his shoulders when he's entering the sport. Nonetheless, Haas opted out for a reliable driver that, although hasn't been impressive in his F1 career, was a consistent driver that brought consistent points to the teams he drove in. Ralf Schumacher, Mick's nephew and Michael's brother, thinks that Steiner has something personal with Mick, which is why he chose to replace him with Hülkenberg in the closing stages of the season.
We have ground to make up. The last 2 years were not good for us, We are a lot better this year again, but we want to make the next step, that we want to end up where we were in 2018 again, So, and for us, Nico was the best candidate for it, and that's why we made a change.
When talking about this situation, Ralf said, "I see it as difficult for Haas to choose Mick, otherwise they would have done it a long time ago. I think the interaction in the team and the openness of Günther Steiner, I call that politely, doesn't necessarily speak positively. Mick has shown that there is potential, but no matter what he did, the team and Günther Steiner were never satisfied with it. This behaviour cannot be explained with normal standards. It almost has to be something personal. I believe that Steiner cannot deal with the fact that someone else is the focus at Haas. He is very, very happy to be the one front and centre." Now, just one day after Ralf announced this, the team announced the departure of Mick and the arrival of Nico Hülkenberg. During the Abu Dhabi press conference on Thursday, Mick spoke about his time in Haas, and while talking about it, he also gave us hints about his future, which we could imagine would be as a reserve driver in Mercedes.
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing in some ways because I feel like I've been doing a good job up to this point. On the other hand, the team decided to go that way, so I have to respect that. And so I'm focused on the future now.
Schumacher posted on Twitter a cryptic message that had the initials PTW, and during the press conference he was asked about it, to which he replied, "PTW is what I've been saying most part of this year. I just felt like saying that because I think I want to prove everybody wrong who doesn't believe in me, because I know what I can do. I've proven that in the junior categories, and I don't see a reason why I can't do that." Asked about what he plans for the future, Mick said, "I just want to put myself into a position where I know it's going to be right for me. Whether that's as a reserve, if that's driving, that's to be discussed and to be analysed. I have the people that I trust around me who I'll be consulting with, and then I'll come out with some news, hopefully soon." Indeed, there is one team that is looking for a reserve driver, and just because Mick will downgrade his position from starting to reserve driver doesn't mean that his career will suffer a downfall. Mercedes lost both of their reserve drivers in the recent period, with Van Dorn signing for Aston Martin and De Vries signing for AlphaTauri as a starting driver from 2023 onward. It's been previously rumoured that Mercedes are in talks with Ricciardo when it comes to the reserve driver role, but this turned out to be something that Red Bull does too, something that Wolff pointed out too. With that being said, Mick could be a very good and interesting option for Mercedes due to the fact that his father was the facilitator of the rebranding of the team, being part of it for 3 full seasons from 2010 to the end of 2012. That's why Wolff said that there will always be a place for a Schumacher in the sport, adding, "I don't know what the exact situation is with Mick at Haas. I believe that the most important thing for him is that he gets a race seat, but I make no secret of the fact that the Schumacher family belongs to Mercedes. We value Mick both as a person and as a race driver, and that's why we would consider taking up this option if he does not get a race seat, but a race seat must be his first priority because he deserves one. It goes without saying that Mick wants to continue his tenure at Haas, and what many people fail to understand is that his results weren't that bad compared to Magnussen's. At least not to the point of Mick being fired from the team and replaced with a driver who hasn't got a proper groove in a Formula 1 car for 3 years and is 35 years old. Still, Haas believes that this is the right thing to do, and according to an ex-F1 driver, Hans-Joachim Stuck, if Haas sacks Schumacher, it would be a foolish thing to do. Unfortunately for Mick, it's still too early for Audi because they will not be there until 2026. If he's not confirmed at Haas, he will no longer be in Formula 1. This is very clear. I also say very clearly that Mick belongs in Formula 1. A young driver sometimes has to make some mistakes because he doesn't know what the limit of the car is. Günther Steiner was wrong to unnecessarily put Mick under pressure with useless criticism. It's crazy to have a seat and not confirm Mick. If he gets the right car, he'll be great in the future. But it seems like his departure from Haas was something that could have been predicted by the experts in the sport, such as Helmut Marko. Helmut spoke about the situation a couple of weeks ago, adding that it's never a good thing when a driver is performing under huge pressure and is being bashed publicly by his actions. That's why Marko said that Hülkenberg signing with Haas is almost a guarantee, and it's just a matter of time until we find out about this decision. This turned out to be completely true, as Marko said. When a team publicly criticises a driver, Schumacher, so massively, as was sometimes the case, it shows there are no signs of trust. The situation at Haas is that they have an experienced driver in Magnussen, and if there was a great up-and-coming talent, I would bet on him. But I don't see anyone at the moment who would have these requirements, and from a team perspective, there is a lot of money at stake in the Constructors' World Championship. Whether you're 10th or 8th, that's a difference of millions of dollars. I assume Haas will bet on a veteran. With how this whole situation has unfolded, it's safe to say that Mick's best chance would be to sign a reserve driver's contract with Mercedes. Now that there aren't any vacant seats left, apart from the one in Williams that is reserved for Logan Sargent, if he manages to finish in the top 6 and be eligible for a super license, Mick's best bet will be to learn from a 7-time world champion and an 8-time consecutive Constructors champion. After all, it's Mercedes that we're talking about. Mick will always have a chance to join another affiliated team in the future, such as Williams, if the opportunity arises. Sure, Mercedes are the ones that also have to be asked about this decision, and it goes without saying that they would want to have a conversation with Ricciardo first. However, the Aussie has reportedly chosen Red Bull as his destination when it comes to the reserve driver role. As a result, Mercedes may be forced to look elsewhere for this position, and now that the situation in Haas has unraveled, they have the perfect opportunity to sign Mick and provide him with some learning tools. This is something Mick desperately needs, due to the fact that he struggled a lot to learn on a team like Haas, who have been labelled as dysfunctional for Mick. So, what do you think about Schumacher joining Mercedes and following his father's footsteps? Let us know in the comments down below.